Hello everyone, this is Jyotsna. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this tutorial, we will see the interview question and the answers on software testing or manual testing. This is the part 3 for the interview question and answers. We already have two other videos for the explaining 2020 sets of question in each part. And this is the third part where I will be explaining the 20 interview questions and the answers on them. So starting with first question here, what is pilot testing? So we already have one video on this pilot and beta testing difference in our tutorials on manual testing. So here we will just see the basic definition for the pilot testing, what it is pilot testing. So the pilot testing is the type of software testing where a group of users uses the software in totality before the final launch or deployment of the product or software. So, as the name suggests, the pilot testing is before the deployment of the software. Uh, a group of user uses the software and tests the totality end-to-end functionality of the testing of the product doing the testing. So this is nothing but pilot testing. So we have next question which explains the difference between pilot and beta testing. So as I said, the definition of pilot testing and for the beta testing, it is performed by the real users of the software application in a real environment. But for the pilot testing, it is also tested by the user, but a group of user from the our organization side and before the launch or deployment of the product, they test the product, which is pilot testing. So this is the main difference between pilot and beta testing. So the next is what is test harness? So a test harness is a collection of software and a test data used to put a program unit to the test by running it under various conditions such as stress, load, and data-driven data, which monitoring its behavior and outputs, which is nothing but test harness. The next question is what is risk-based testing? This is some when interviewer have their company with own product which mostly based on the risk-based testing, they might ask you this question, which is risk-based testing. So the risk-based testing is a term used for an approach to creating a test strategy that is based on the prioritizing tests by risk. So this is nothing but risk-based testing. Here, the basis of the approach is a detailed risk analysis and prioritization of the risk by risk levels. So, tests to address each risk are then specified, starting with the highest risks first. So, most of the time in the risk-based testing, the everything is revolving around the risk which is coming while testing the product. So, this is also important question a interviewer might ask in the interview. Next is what is entry criteria of software testing? So this is very important question for the testing. One should ask in the interview. So here, what is entry criteria? So as the name suggests, entry means while doing the software testing, first start of the software testing. What should be the entry criteria? So the entry criteria is used to determine when a given test activity should start, means at the start. It also includes the beginning of a level of testing when test design or test execution is ready to start. This is nothing but entry criteria in software testing. So, what is exit criteria in software testing? Another question. This is also very important. The interviewer might ask, what is entry and exit criteria in software testing? Can you explain it? So, you need to know the definition of entry criteria and when we use the entry criteria and the definition of exit criteria. So, these are very simple and basic criteria which we use in software testing. So, For exit criteria, it is used to determine whether a given test activity has been completed or not. For entry, we test if it is activity should start or not, and for exit, we check the criteria on which we can exit from the testing, software testing. So the exit criteria can be defined for all the test activities right from planning, specification, and execution. So this is nothing but exit criteria. What determines the levels of risk? So this is another question. So most of the time, the likelihood of an adverse event and the impact of the event determines the levels of risk. Any event might occur. The likelihood of that event it, and the impact of that event on the um, impact of that event which determines the levels of risk. So, what is the difference between testing techniques and testing tools? So, we have different testing techniques also. Also, we have different testing tools. So, we need to know what is the difference between these techniques and tools. So, for software testing techniques, it is a process for ensuring that some aspects of application system or unit functions properly. There may be few techniques, but not many tools many tools. Okay, so testing tools, what is it? So it is a vehicle for performing the test process. These are the tools, as the name suggests, these are the tools we use for the test process. But technique is nothing but some kind of process, or techniques we say, for the testing we perform, or to perform our testing properly. We use some techniques, that is nothing but testing techniques. But to perform this process, we need some tools. So these are nothing but testing tools. The tool is like a resource to the tester, but itself is insufficient to conduct a testing. The next question is differentiate between positive and negative testing. So we have two types of testing, like positive testing and negative testing. So we need user interviewer might ask to differentiate between these two types of testing. So we can give the definition for those two testings types. So it will give the overall idea of how positive and negative testing is. So for positive testing, it ensures that your software performs as expected. Means we are doing the positive scenarios with the positive testing. The test fail if an error occurs during positive testing. Means we are doing only the positive scenarios in positive testing. But for the negative testing, we check negative scenarios also. Here, this testing type guarantees that your app can gratefully deal with unexpected user behavior or incorrect input. Means giving the incorrect input, you checking how the output or how the system is behaving. This is nothing but negative testing. Next is what is a critical bug. So a critical bug is one that has the potential to affect the bulk of application functionality. Means very critically affecting the functionality, then it is called critical bug. So it indicates that a significant portion of functionality or the critical system components is utterly broken with no way to proceed. So that bug need to be fixed. The application cannot be delivered to end users until the critical bug has been fixed. This is nothing but critical bug. So next is what is test closure. So test closure is a document. This test closure is a document that summarizes all of the tests performed throughout the software development lifecycle, as well as full analysis of a defects fixed and error discovered. All this contains in this test closure documents. The total number of experiments, the total number of experiments executed, the total number of flaws detected, the total number of defects settled, and the total number of bugs not settled, the total number of bugs rejected. Everything is documented in test closure documents. So it is a closing, as the name suggests, it is a closure of testing in the development life cycle. So this is nothing but test closure document. The next is what is pesticide paradox? One of the important question asked in the interview. So, according to the pesticide paradox, if the same tests are done repeatedly, the same test case will eventually stop finding new bugs. So, this is also this pesticide paradox. It is a one of the principle of software testing. So if we have written some test cases and we are executing every time when we get new application or new build to test, we are executing those test cases. Uh, ev- Eventually, by repeating those test cases every time, eventually it will stop finding new bugs because we already have find everything and fixed everything. So with those same test cases, if they are uh, executed repeatedly, it will stop finding new bugs eventually. So this principle is pesticide paradox. This is one of the principle of software testing and the interview question. The next question is differentiate between bug leakage and bug release. So for the bug leakage, it is when tested software is pushed into the market and the end user discovers defect. This is known as bug leakage. Means if the bug is discovered by the end user, known as bug leakage. These are bugs that the testing team overlooked throughout the testing phase. And the bug release, when the certain version of software is launched into the market with some known bugs that are expected to be fixed in later version, known as bug release. So we already know the known bugs, and while launching the product in the market, we are releasing the product with the known bugs. So those bugs are bug release. But if those bugs are found by users, then that is called bug leakage. So the next question is, what is code coverage? The quantity of code covered by the test scripts is referred to as code coverage. Means the some codes of the software, those are covered by the test scripts for the testing, it's known as code coverage. It conveys the scope of the test suits coverage of the application. Next is, what is boundary value analysis? So the border values of a classes of the equivalence class partitioning are used as input to the test cases in boundary value analysis, which is software testing techniques for the designing test cases. Nothing but boundary value analysis. So the 56, which is next question, is difference between retesting and regression testing. Very common and very usually asked by interviewer in the interview. So very common and very basic question this is. Retesting ensures the original fault has been removed. Means if we have found any defects and we have um, logged that defect and developer has fixed that defect. So while doing the retesting, means while rechecking the fixed defects, we are doing the retesting. This is nothing but retesting. But while retesting that bug, we check if the other functionalities are not giving any issues. That time we do the regression testing. Means we are checking any side effects done by the fix. So regression testing looks for unexpected side effects. Very basic difference between these two. Next question is, could reviews or inspections be considered part of testing? Of course, because both help finding defect, faults, and improves the quality. So reviews and inspections also are part of testing. Next is, what test plan consists of? What are the different component test plan consist of? So these are the some components given of the test plan. First is test case identifier, means the number of test cases. Numbers means first to 10th. These are the test case identifier. Scope of testing. This is one of the uh, part of test plan. Features to be tested in the testing or for that test plan. Then feature not to be tested. Features we are not testing in the current test plan, that is also considered. Then test strategies we are planning and the test approach we are doing. Next is test deliverables, then responsibilities for the testers, staffing and training, risk and contingencies. These are the some of the components of the test plans. The difference between data-driven testing and retesting. So the retesting, as I said previously, it is a process of checking the bugs that are actioned by the development team to verify that they are fixed. And data-driven testing is a data-driven testing process. The application is tested with multiple test data, as the name suggests, giving the test data as an input, checking the application. And the application is tested with a different set of values. The last question is, what are the valuable steps to resolve issues while testing? So these are the three steps we need to use while resolving the issues while testing. First is log and handle any problems which have happened. Record, which is nothing but record. And then report the issues to higher level manager, which is report. And the next is define the issue management process, which is control. These are the record, report, and control. These are the steps we need to do while to resolve issues while testing. So these are the 20 question which is from part 3 for the interview question and answers on software testing. So very basic questions are these. 60 questions we have covered. If I get any more questions which I think need to be take as a part of this questionnaire, I will definitely have the another video also. Thank you so much for watching this video.